Shocking truth, life of the extremely rich poor in Victorian times. You won't believe this. In the fog-shrouded streets of Victorian London, a chilling divide lay like a gaping chasm, beckoning whispers of secrecy and intrigue. Here, the wealthy glided about in silk top hats, their pocket watches gleaming like tiny suns, while not a stone's throw away, the wretched souls of the working class scrounged for scraps, their eyes hollow and wild. Every corner turned revealed the stark reality of this era, a reality that pulsated with unsung stories and darkness waiting to be uncovered. The rich paraded through their opulent mansions, feasts lavishly spread before them on golden plates, while the poor huddled in soot-stained alleys, sharing a single loaf of bread. The very air crackled with urgency as secrets unspooled in the shadows. A little girl, no older than 7, was caught sneaking a glance through a grand window where laughter erupted. The sound pierced her heart as sharp as a knife. What had she done to deserve this life, while the others feasted? Her tiny hands trembled, reaching for a morsel of hope, yet finding only hunger and despair. As the gas lamps flickered, illuminating this twisted fairy tale, rumors began to swirl, whispers of hidden fortunes buried within the trembling earth, and the consequences of secrets long kept. Old Mrs. Hawthorne, notorious for her strange habits, would often vanish for days. It was said she traded in the bazaar, procuring curses and charms for the desperate. A sudden flash of movement caught the eye of a group of onlookers, their mouths agape at the mysterious silhouette darting from her shadowy doorstep, leaving nothing behind but the smell of burnt herbs and a lingering chill in the air. Suddenly, everything changed. A scream erupted from the crowd, echoing eerily against the brick walls. What had happened? Someone had stumbled upon a truth that reverberated through the night, electrifying everyone present, their faces frozen in shock. The tension sharpened, like a knife's edge, leaving a palpable fear swirling like the thick London fog. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. What lay hidden beneath layers of dirt and neglect? As the crowd turned into a wave of frantic hearts that raced with confusion and spirit, one brave soul edged closer, driven by an insatiable curiosity, a thirst to unveil the enigma that gripped them all. Each step forward, a heartbeat echoing louder as the weight of the unfolding mystery began to press down. Could it be? Was this the moment that would unveil the secrets of the rich and the poor? A question lingered, as shadows danced mysteriously around them, leaving only a chilling whisper trailing in their wake. The scream that sliced through the air had an otherworldly quality, sending chills down the spines of those gathered in the shadows. A man, ragged and wild-eyed, staggered out from the alley, clutching a crumpled piece of paper, his breath coming in ragged gasps. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, a mix of horror and curiosity darkening their faces as they watched him. "What did you see?" someone called out, voice trembling with disbelief. His eyes darted between the flickering gas lamps and the anxious faces around him. "I saw," he stammered, glancing back towards the alley, as though the darkness would consume him again. "I saw what lies beneath." In that moment, the echo of his words rippled through the crowd, stirring a murmur of fear and speculation. What did he mean by what lies beneath? Hearts raced, breaths held tight in throats. The mystery surrounding Mrs. Hawthorne deepened, her shadowy reputation morphing into something palpable and terrifying right before their eyes. Almost instinctively, a group surged forward. With their pulse quickening, they pressed the man for details, yet he only shook his head as if he was trying to erase the images too damning to speak. The whispers reached a crescendo, reverberating off the cobblestones, carrying a scent of desperation and dread along with the heavy London air. At the edges of the throng, a little girl stood flexing her fingers, inching closer. Her innocence shone through against the canvas of gloom that wrapped around them. What did you see? She asked, her voice barely a wisp against the tide of chaos. Everyone turned to her, the anxiety wrung out of the adults, the air buzzing with tension. They had forgotten, for a split second, that she was but a child. The man's eyes softened as he crouched down to meet her gaze. A grave secret no one should uncover, he whispered, his grip on the ragged paper tightening as if afraid to let it slip away. Secrets can't hurt if we know them, the girl said, her small voice oddly resolute among a sea of uncertainty. The gaslights flickered, illuminating his worried face, as if they, too, battled the gathering darkness. This one can, he replied, shaking his head, they bury truths where no one dares to dig. As he stood, something in the paper slipped from between his fingers, a torn edge that fluttered and landed at the feet of the anxious crowd. Eyes shifted, a collective breath held in anticipation. Another person broke from the group to pluck the paper from the cobblestones, unfolding it with trembling hands. The script was barely legible, yet amidst the hurried scribbles and dark ink, there emerged an unmistakable name, one that cracked the silence like thunder. Eleanor. A gasp traveled through the crowd, followed by a dozen pairs of eyes darting toward the baroque facade of Mrs. Hawthorne's home. What connection could the reclusive woman have with a name that was whispered in the darkest corners of the city, a name tied to both wealth and woe? Before anyone could ponder further, another sound broke through the clatter of footsteps against stone. A cloaked figure emerged from the shadows, their face obscured, yet the determination in their march was unmistakable. As the atmosphere shifted, tension coiled tightly in the air, making it almost suffocating. "Step aside," the figure commanded, their voice as husky as the fog itself. "The truth is not meant for the faint of heart." Before anyone had a chance to react, they reached deep into their cloak, revealing a pendant that glimmered ominously under the weak street lights. The crowd gasped, the boy at the front clutching the little girl's hand tight as if to shield her from the riot of emotions threatening to erupt. What was the connection? What other secrets lay buried in this towering web of intrigue? The cloaked figure took one deep breath before speaking, and with those words, they would unravel dangers the likes of which no one had ever encountered. The figure stepped forward, and the dim light caught the edges of the pendant, revealing an intricate design, a delicate gold filigree encasing a deep crimson stone. Its glow was unnatural, pulsating like a heartbeat, demanding attention as much as it promised danger. "Listen closely," the cloaked figure intoned, their voice a gravelly whisper that resonated through the crowd, "for the shadows this night have ears." Whispers flowed through the mass of bodies, a combination of disbelief and fear mixed with unyielding curiosity. The man who had stumbled from the alley was paralyzed, caught somewhere between fear and hope. Was this the moment someone would unearth those hidden truths, the ones that had cast a pall over them all? Eleanor. A woman, her tone thick with dread, spoke out, "Do you mean her? The one who vanishes from time to time?" "Indeed," the cloaked figure responded, their eyes narrowing beneath the hood. The crowd held its breath, hanging on every word. "Eleanor Hawthorne has ties to a world most can only dream of, a world woven with threads of power and blood." That last word struck like a lightning bolt. Gasps echoed like stones dropping into water, rippling through the crowd. "Blood? What blood?" came a voice from the rear, layers of worry coating the question. "Blood that speaks of deals made in shadows, of lives traded for favors, of a past that has never truly passed," the stranger said, their gaze piercing the faces in front of them, absorbing the wide-eyed fear and haunted expressions. "Everyone thinks they know Mrs. Hawthorne, they believe she is nothing more than a hermit, providing rare and eerie artifacts to the wealthy, but her story runs deeper than the Thames." As tension thickened, a chill wound its way around the crowd's collective spine. Curiosity ignited within them, a smoldering fire of wonder and disquiet. The little girl, emboldened, called out, "What kind of secrets?" Her voice rang brighter than the fear encasing the adults. "Secrets of sacrifice," the figure replied, their voice an ominous echo that seemed to draw from the very air around them. "Of a bargain struck with forces that defy comprehension, dark powers that demand a price." You see, they continued, Eleanor is not merely a name on a page. She is the keeper of nightmares. The atmosphere crackled with energy, as if a storm were brewing just beyond the edges of understanding. People lurched forward, their faces a mixture of dread and intrigue, while others took a cautious step back, unsure of what lay ahead. The man from the alley gripped the edge of the cloaked figure's clothing tightly, desperation bubbling at the surface. Speak! His cracked voice shattered the silence. What will become of her? What must we do? The past has a way of catching up, the cloaked figure replied. And now, it converges upon this very spot. Suddenly, a distant sound echoed a low rumbling that resonated deep within the ground. The crowd froze, their eyes wide, understanding slowly dawning that whatever truths they sought might awaken something best left undisturbed. The pendant caught the glow of gaslight again, flickering as if alive. Then, in a startling moment, the figure turned, their cloak swirling like the darkness itself. Come! Only those brave enough can learn the truth behind the door of echoes, they beckoned, pointing towards a looming structure that vanished into the shadows beyond the crowd's sight. Disbelief hung in the air like a thick smoke, mingled with an air of palpable fear and excitement. Will you follow me? The figure questioned, voice echoing like a call from the abyss. The crowd stirred, uncertainty etched across their faces, hearts raced, teetering between the weight of fear and the promise of discovery. Each person felt the drawing pull, a magnetic urge that promised answers yet carried the burden of untold consequences. As the cloaked figure stepped forward, leaving the crowd mesmerized in a collective hesitation, the man whispered, "What if we're not ready?" But the darkness beckoned, the time for answers was looming. Would they dare to step into the unknown? The question lingered, shrouded by the thick night air, leaving them wondering what awaited them as a thunderous crack sounded in the distance, hinting that the past was ready to reveal itself once and for all. The crowd shifted, a wave of uncertainty coursing through the mass of bodies, as if a single heartbeat pulsed among them. Some exchanged nervous glances. The man from the alley tightened his grip on the figure's cloak, unwilling to lose the only lifeline between them and the encroaching darkness. "Where is this place?" he asked, barely masking his apprehension. The cloaked figure glanced back, eyes glinting like shards of glass. "A sanctuary of secrets, a gateway where time itself crumbles under the weight of the past," they said, voice low but commanding. "Step lightly. The echoes do not take kindly to the uninvited." As they moved towards the structure, the atmosphere thickened, charged with a sense of dread. The crowd followed, though hesitation danced in their eyes. Each footfall echoed, reverberating against the cobblestones, blending with that distant rumble that persisted in the background. A foreboding sign or an invitation? What lay ahead was draped in shadows, and the air turned colder. The building loomed larger, a dark silhouette filled with countless untold stories. A grand archway opened before them, revealing a cavernous entry that yawned like the mouth of a beast waiting to swallow them whole. The whispered promises of answers floated like smoke, intertwining with the tangible fear that gripped their hearts. "What if it's a trap?" a voice shouted from the back, breaking through the collective silence. "What if we're reawakening something we can't control?" The figure paused, turning slightly. "Fear holds no dominion here. The truth, however," they gestured towards the archway, "can break chains of the past or bind you to its will." With a collective breath, they surged forward, crossing the threshold. Inside, shadows danced in flickering gaslight, illuminating the space, a vast throne room of decaying grandeur, adorned with faded tapestries and cobwebbed chandeliers. Suddenly, a series of frantic whispers erupted from the far corner, the voice high-pitched and frantic. "Eleanor? Eleanor?" a woman cried out, pushing her way through the crowd. Her face was pale, eyes darting in desperation. "If she's really here, we need to find her before it's too late." The cloaked figure interrupted, their voice cutting through the din with cold precision. "It's already too late. Time is a relentless current, and your dear Eleanor has been swept along with it." Gasps rippled through the crowd, punctuated by the echo of impending doom. The woman faltered, her breath hitching. "What do you mean? How do you know her?" "Because," the figure said, stepping closer, each word deliberate, "I am the reflection of her choices and every choice has its price." They pointed at the pendant still glowing eerily. "That stone binds souls to the echoes, and Eleanor's choices are woven into this darkness." Beneath the murmurs of growing panic, a scraping sound arose, a low groan that seemed to resonate from the very walls as if they were awakening from a long slumber. "What's happening?" The man from the alley shouted, his voice trembling. The figure turned back towards the looming shadows. "You've entered the domain of lost souls. Are you prepared to confront them?" Just as they spoke, a chilling roar reverberated through the chamber, and flickering lights ignited with a blinding brightness. The shadows writhed, clawing at the spirits that emerged, twisted forms that carried the weight of untold atrocities. "Stay together!" Someone yelled, panic taking root, but if their hearts pounded from fear, it was quickly overshadowed by an unyielding force that beckoned them to the heart of their curiosity. One by one, they took hesitant steps closer, each drawn towards the darkness, towards a revelation that could shatter their fears or seal their fates. As the storm within the room surged, a sudden hush fell over them. An ominous voice echoed deep within the shadows, "Who dares seek the keeper of nightmares?" Frightened gasps broke around them. The figure took a step forward, ready to unveil the truth, but would they dare to face the keeper, knowing their souls might never return? The question hung in the air, charged with the electricity of anticipation. The silence thickened, smothering them under its weight. The shadows seemed to pulse with life, each flicker of gaslight revealing something inhuman lurking just beyond their sight. The cloaked figure stood firm, a steadfast barrier between the crowd and the encroaching horrors. "What do we do?" The urgency in someone's voice cut through the tension, a desperate plea for guidance. Eyes darted around, searching for escape, for answers, or just some sense of safety. "Embrace the shadows," the figure replied, their voice steady. "Face what lies inside. Only then can you hope to understand the truth." The heady mix of fear and intrigue tugged at their hearts, compelling them to take one cautious step forward. Suddenly, the arches above resonated with a low hum, like a heartbeat echoing through the ages. The walls seemed to breathe. "What lies within?" the pale woman asked, her voice trembling. "Are we ready to confront our own nightmares?" Before the figure could respond, a shudder rippled through the ground. The air crackled, and the room quaked, sending a jolt of panic through the crowd. A figure swathed in darkness emerged from the shadows, towering above them like a dark sentinel. Its eyes were bright crimson embers, piercing through the fog of uncertainty. "Truth is not for the faint of heart," the keeper of nightmares rumbled, voice like gravel over a storm. "You will find Eleanor, but you must first uncover the price of seeking her. Will you pay it?" The question hung heavy, a challenge curling through the air. The man from the alley clenched his fists, adrenaline pumping through his veins. "What price?" he shouted, his voice fierce. The keeper smiled, a twisted grin that sent shivers racing down spines. "Your deepest fears, your darkest secrets, you will face them in this realm." The shadows around them thickened, swirling with images of regret and sorrow. One by one, faces turned pale as memories surfaced. A man staggered back, haunted by visions of lost loved ones. A woman collapsed to her knees, sobbing at the sight of her forsaken dreams replaying like a haunting melody. The air was thick with despair. "Stop! We can't!" someone broke in, but the keeper raised a hand, silencing the babble. "Despair is the thread that binds your souls to this place. You must confront your fears, only then can you hope to break free from the echoes of the past." A cacophony of ghosts materialized, whispering secrets only the crowd could decipher, lost promises, forgotten love, and anguished cries. "Eleanor!" The pale woman screamed again, the desperation in her voice cutting through the chaos, as she caught a glimpse of a familiar silhouette among the swirling specters. "Find her!" the cloaked figure urged, voice strong. But remember, every choice you make echoes into the depths of this darkness, and it will cost you. The crowd surged forward, desperation clawing at their hearts, but with each step, shadows yanked back, trying to reclaim their hold. A sinister wind howled through the chamber, echoing the breaths of the lost souls that roamed this haunted sanctuary. Stay together. The man from the alley rallied them, fighting against the impending wave of despair. Yet the chaos swirled, threatening to tear them apart, pulling at them as their deepest fears surfaced, vying for dominance. A glowing figure emerged from the chaos, indistinct yet familiar. "Help me," it whispered, a voice laced with longing and sorrow. As the crowd reached towards the spectre, the keeper's voice boomed above the chaos. "To save Eleanor, you must release what haunts you. But beware, the past is not easily dismissed." With trembling hearts, the crowd faced down the keeper of nightmares. A decision loomed, a choice that could release or destroy them. Would they accept the price of truth, or would they let fear hold them captive once more? The air crackled with anticipation, an electric pulse that promised everything and nothing at once. In that moment, the shadows locked eyes with the living, challenging them. The stakes had never been higher. Would they confront their own darkness, or would they be consumed by it? As silence settled again, a flicker of hope shone amidst despair, the glow of a pendant pulsing softly in the keeper's hand, a hint of salvation or perhaps a new curse. What truth would they unearth at the cost of their souls? Would they be strong enough to confront their own echoes? The crowd hesitated, shadows creeping closer, wrapping their icy fingers around hearts and minds. Breathless, eyes widened, they struggled against the weight of their own memories. The path felt open yet fraught with peril. Every beat of their heart synced with the pulsing light of the keeper's pendant, the promise of salvation shimmering just within reach. Suddenly, another figure broke through the haze, a gaunt man, his face etched with deep lines of regret. "I can't," he cried, backing away. "I can't face those memories. They'll destroy me." "No!" shouted the man from the alley, catching him by the arm. "You're stronger than your fears. We need to stick together." But doubt hung in the air like stale smoke, and several others began to pull back, retreating into deeper shadows. The keeper watched, eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. "You think safety lies in fear? In avoiding the truth?" His voice rolled like thunder through the chamber. "The moment you step away from your pain, that is when it consumes you." Another surge of darkness swept through the crowd, and from it, a woman materialized. Her eyes glistened, filled with desperately buried sorrow. "I lost him. I lost him." Her voice cracked, swirling with echoes of long-ago sobs. She reached toward the glowing figure, a reflection of her hope, or was it a mirage? "Face her," urged the cloaked figure, pointing towards the woman. "Only in confronting your past can you hope to save Eleanor." The gaunt man crumbled onto the ground, hands clutching at his head. "No. I won tea." The shadows spread around him like ink spilled on paper, threatening to ensnare him in their depths. "Let go!" shouted the pale woman, fearing she had lost another companion to despair. She took a step forward, fierce and determined. "We can't lose anyone else. We have to confront our pain together." Her voice rang out, cutting through murky whispers. The crowd turned towards her, and for the first time, their fear morphed into solidarity. They began to chant, a low hum growing louder. "Eleanor! Eleanor! Resolve!" echoed the cloaked figure, as if absorbing their strength. "Yes, feel that fire within you. Feed it with your pain." The shadows flared, bending like waves beneath their cries. The keeper of nightmares shrieked in frustration, the air growing thick with tension. One by one, individuals shared their burdens raw, unfiltered, words tumbled forth from lips trembling with fear. Each memory released became a flicker of light, illuminating the darkness. "I killed my brother." A voice broke through the throng, crashing against every tether of sorrow. Desperation painted itself across the man's face as he shared his hidden shame. I was too afraid to help him. A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd while shadows twisted and writhed. Those confessions created a ripple, releasing others from the chains of secrets. Each revelation sent tremors through the abyss, shaking the essence of the Keeper's dark power. See? The Keeper spat, desperate to regain control. This pain is your weakness. You are bound to it. No. The crowd roared back, their voices intertwining with newfound strength. It is our power. We will face our darkness. Suddenly, the glowing figure caught light in her eyes. Help me! A fragile melody threaded through the turmoil, a direct line to Eleanor, shimmering in hope. Yet, just as the darkness began to recede, laughter echoed around them, chilling and hollow. You think strength lies in numbers? Yet, one of you carries a secret so terrible it could shatter all hope. Will you uncover that truth? Cold dread washed over them. They turned, faces white with fear as unseen eyes assessed them in silence. Who among them held the buried darkness, the secret that could unravel their fragile alliance? The shadows closed in tighter, hungry to rise again. Would the crowd uncover the truth, and at what cost? Would they dare expose their deepest fears to grasp Eleanor? With every heartbeat, the stakes rose. In the distance, the chilling cackle of the Keeper stirred anticipation. All eyes shot towards the center, knowing that betrayal could come from the most unexpected source. What truth awaited them in the shadow? The air crackled with tension as the crowd shifted uneasily. Faces that were once resolute now flickered with uncertainty. Murmurs danced through the assembly, a potent mix of fear and curiosity. Who could be hiding such a dark truth? Which heart among them harbored a terror that could shatter the fragile unity they'd half-mustered? From the depths of the gathering, the pale woman stepped forward, a pulse of courage driving her. We can't point fingers in fear, she called, her voice sharp and commanding. Let us share everything. No matter how dark. Her eyes searched the crowd, meeting terrified gazes, eager to help but paralyzed by memories. A choking silence settled in, heavy like a fog. The gaunt man, still visibly shaken, looked up, his face a mask of anguish. But what if that darkness is too much? He breathed, each syllable weighted with an unbearable truth. What if I can't take it anymore? He was met with a cascade of sympathetic nods. The shadows closed in tighter, their whispers intensifying, clawing at their resolve. Would this be the moment when fear sank its teeth in once more? I'll start, a quivering voice emerged from the back. It was a girl, her features hidden behind soft curls of hair. I lost my sister to that house, to those shadows. Her hands trembled, but she took a step forward. I was supposed to protect her, but I let fear take over. She screamed for help, and I ran. I ran. Gasps shot through the crowd, hearts breaking at the rawness of it. Shadows twisted, hungry, but the flicker of shared agony bound them closer. With one truth bared, another voice joined in. I hid from my family, an older man confessed, his voice rugged with age. Pretending I was someone else. I was ashamed of who I was. They didn't see me, and neither did I. I lost them all. He dropped to his knees, the weight of years crashing down. The crowd began to stitch together, sharing snippets of their burdened pasts, peeling back layers of hurt, regret, and guilt. Soon, an unspoken agreement started to solidify, revealing their darkness was the only way to banish it. Emboldened, the woman pressed on. Then we have nothing to fear from one another. Let us stand together, against our shadows. It's our only hope for Eleanor. Yes. A unified shout erupted, echoing off the chamber's walls. Each confession sparked another, like chains of light fusing in the dark. Yet, unease simmered beneath their bravery. Which one of you is hiding the worst? A voice oozed from the shadows, slithering into the mind like poison. It belonged to the Keeper of Nightmares, and his laughter sliced through their collective defiance. No. The crowd shouted back, but doubt lingered. They instinctively shifted their gazes, scanning the sea of faces upturned, fearful, revealing secrets in their eyes. The gaunt man, shaking with fury and fear, pulled himself up. If we're to confront this darkness, then we must do it now. I am burdened. I've held on to a secret longer than I can bear. Chilling silence swallowed the room, all breath held, as he began to unravel his tale. I was the one who placed my brother in danger. I thought that if I kept him away from the shadows, I could save him. I didn't he know. Cries erupted in shock, the fragile bond made of newly shared pain threatened to snap. What did you do? A voice cried out, sharp as a knife. The wave of hostility surged, characterizing the very fear they had hoped to overcome. Listen. I tried to protect him. The man trembled, pleading with wide eyes. But then the laughter returned, cruel and mocking. What a tangled web you weave, the keeper sneered. Let us see how far this unraveling goes. The walls vibrated as the shadows surged forward, ready to claim the secrets, the fears, the deepest pain. The crowd recoiled, now more fractured than united, as old terror seeped back in. What kind of darkness have they awakened? Would the truth destroy them, or draw them closer? The weight of destiny pressed down, and Eleanor's fate hung precariously in the balance. Was the keeper right? Would the secrets they unearthed be their undoing? Chaos erupted as the shadows surged, weaving through the crowd like tendrils of smoke. Faces once lit with courage now twisted in fear, and the air thickened with despair. The thin veil of bravado they'd nurtured began to tear, fraying at the edges as the keeper's laughter echoed maliciously. Fools! You forget your fears are as potent as your secrets, he taunted, stepping closer, eyes glistening with wicked delight. He reveled in their anguish, drinking it like a fine wine. Members of the crowd stumbled back, expressions turning to disbelief, horror spreading like wildfire. The girl with the soft curls stepped back, clutching her sister's memory tight to her chest. No! We're stronger together! She shouted, her voice cracking, vibrating with desperation. But doubt shadowed her plea, knotting itself in the throats of those listening. Slowly, the gaunt man lowered his head, shame washing over his features. I thought I could save him. I thought running away would shield him from the darkness. The weight of his confession coated the air, muggy with regret. A woman in the crowd broke down, tears streaming down her cheeks. And look what it cost you. She wailed, pointing an accusing finger as if unearthing his guilt could cast away her own. You can't save anyone by hiding the truth. The tension snapped, rippling outward. Fingers trembled, pointed accusations hung in the space between them, stinging like wasps. The teeth of mistrust bit into the heart of their unity. The darkness swirled around them, gleeful, as it began to consume their generosity. Is this how courage manifests? In blame? A man called from the back, his voice low yet thunderous as if brewing a tempest. We're not here to judge but to unite. If we want to save Eleanor, we need to summon the light hidden within our shadows. His eyes scanned the crowd, fierce and resolute, nervous glances exchanged among the assembly. Perhaps he was right. Then let us share it. Shouted the woman in white, her voice rising above the confusion. Let us turn our darkness against the true enemy. The murmur grew, solidarity clawing its way back into their hearts. Encouragement rippled through them, alive like a flickering candle flicking against the encroaching night. Yet the keeper of nightmares, lurking in the backdrop, chuckled, a dark sound that twisted the very air near him. Share? Oh, how quaint! And what if I told you that strength is also born from silence? From one secret kept in the dark? I know your truths, better than you know yourselves. His words oozed malice, and the room chilled as shadows flickered about him like wraiths. A ripple of fear danced through the group again. Some began to shy away, losing faith. The shadows pulsed, hungry, ready to pounce on the hidden truths they feared to reveal. Whispers ricocheted, bouncing off the walls like reckless children. What held more power, their unity forged in shared shame or the burdens they intended to release? Listen! The gaunt man yelled, desperation fueling his voice. I'll go next. I'll reveal mine. He stepped toward the center, trembling but resolute. Courage poured from him in waves, mixing with the despair. There's blood on my hands. It wasn't he just my brother. There were others. Screams followed, sharp and splintering. No, someone shouted as the shadows coalesced, eager to clutch at the vulnerability. Wait! Another voice cried, piercing through the tumult. Didn't we just agree? The gaunt man's trembling hands rose as he prepared to unfold his darkest moment. Panicked breaths surrounded him, hope hanging by a thread. Among the chaos, a flicker of resolve remained. What deeper truths lay hidden in the shadows? Would anyone dare confront the deepest fears lurking within, or would the darkness claim them all? Eleanor's fate hung in the balance, and the keeper's laughter told them there was more to discover. The crowd held its breath, hearts racing, hanging on the precipice of revelation. The gaunt man's voice trembled as he spoke, revealing layers of agony seeping from his words. I didn't just run from the truth. I was the one who pushed him. His confession crashed into the crowd like thunder, the echoes scattering any remaining fragments of courage. Gasps mixed with muffled sobs, as the air grew thick with betrayal. Shadows danced eagerly around him, twisting as if to engulf his soul in darkness. Each revelation sent shocks through the throng, vibrating with fear and disbelief. Each face surrounding him paled, some covering their mouths in shock, while others turned away, unable to bear his admission. The woman's eyes widened in horror. You're lying. You couldn't have. Her voice faltered, and tears streamed down her face. You actually hurt him? No. He shouted back, desperation clawing at him. It wasn't supposed to happen. I was scared. I thought if I could just keep him safe. He faltered, guilt tearing through him like razor wire. The keeper of nightmares laughed, a deep, chilling sound that cut through the whispers. Ah! The truth is nectar for the shadows. Keep spilling it, and see how sweet it tastes when it starts burning your throat. He stepped toward the gaunt man, eyes glinting maliciously. What more can you share? There's always something darker lurking in the depths. The man's hands trembled at his sides, fingers twitching as he wrestled with his own darkness. Would he sink deeper? Ends of sanity tugging at him, demanding release? There are others who know. He shouted suddenly, voice shaking. Others who've lost everything because I was too scared to act. What is he talking about? Someone murmured, fear creeping into their tone. The atmosphere thickened with tension, pulses racing at the implications of his words. Was there more blood on their hands than they dared to acknowledge? Would they too be dragged into the fray? Speak! Shouted the woman in white, stepping closer, determination etched on her features. If we want to fight the shadows, we can't hide anymore. We have to face it. Despite the shaking in her voice, a ripple of hope was coming through, igniting a tiny flame in those drawn in. What if we all shared something? Would that break the power they have over us? Murmurs of agreement bubbled up. Whispers intertwined, an unseen connection sparked among them. Courage was clawing its way back, reigniting the dim embers of strength, but the keeper laughed louder. Foolishness. He spat, throwing his head back, eyes wild with glee. You think your secrets, your weakness make you stronger? The truth will only lead you to despair. I already know your darkest fears. I know what binds you, and what shatters your spirit. With every word, the shadows leaned closer, pulling tighter, threatening to engulf them all. The crowd's resolve wavered as a collective breath hitched, suffocating under the weight of fear. They were inches away from losing everything. Suddenly, the gaunt man squared his shoulders. No. You don't know everything. You think you can control us? You think you can use our fears against us? We will stand up, together. The chant caught fire. Together. Together. The energy surged, crashing against the shadows like a powerful wave. But even as they rallied, the shadows shifted, dark and hungry, ready to feast upon the final threads of their courage. Then let the games begin. The keeper hissed, excitement dancing in his eyes. Reveal your secrets, force them into the light and see how they unravel. The crowd stood on the precipice, trembling as they faced themselves. Would they share their truths? What if the shadows refused to release their grip? What awaited them if they did? The echoes of their doubts hung in the air like a thick fog. In the heart of battle between light and dark, only one truth resonated: victory hinged on their willingness to confront the horrors that loomed within. As an uneasy silence fell again, a chilling realization hit them all simultaneously. Was Eleanor's life the cost of this reveal? Would it be worth it if they risked everything to shine light into the darkness? A sudden crack echoed, and the shadows twitched, ready to unleash chaos. Would their unity withstand the keeper's terrible power, or would they be consumed in the dark? The flickering lights began to die down, casting shadows across the battered room like whispers from the past. The air was thick, almost suffocating, as the keeper of nightmares loomed, watching with twisted eagerness. The crowd stood frozen, teetering on the edge of fear and determination. What would happen next? Will you unravel your secrets? The keeper hissed, his voice a cold wind cutting through their resolve. Will you face the truths that bind you? The gaunt man took a trembling step forward, summoning a flicker of brave defiance from deep within. I will. He shouted, his voice breaking through the haze of despair. The crowd turned, breaths held, eyes wide, ready for the consequences. As he opened his mouth to speak, memories flooded back, images of choices twisted and marred by darkness. I was supposed to watch over him instead. I let fear dictate my actions. It was my fault. Anguish twisted in his gut, coursing through his veins as shadows began to swirl around him. With every word, the weight of guilt pressed harder, but something shifted in the atmosphere. The shadows writhed, growing momentarily chaotic as though shaken by the release of a truth too powerful to contain. Please! Cried the woman in white, her face streaked with tears. You have the courage to stand. We can do this together. Her voice rang out, an anchor fighting against the storm. Her words sparked a flame in the hearts of onlookers. Together. Together. They began to chant, drawing strength from their shared anguish. The keeper's eyes widened in disbelief as the energy swelled, pushing back against the shadows. Fools! You think that confronting your pain will save Eleanor? You really are hopeless. He yelled, but their resolve burned brighter. One by one, the crowd began to speak, each conveying secrets born of suffering, of loss, breathing life into their guilt and pain. Shadows flared in response, crackling in fury as memories flooded the room. The voices rose, swell after swell, a cacophony of hearts reaching through to the light. I drove my family away with my pride. Yelled a man, conviction igniting his eyes. I let dreams of riches blind me from love. Bellowed another. Each truth emerged like a wave crashing against the rocky shore, reshaping the very foundation of their fears. The air shifted, growing lighter, as the keeper of nightmares struggled against the tide of their courage. Stop, stop! He screeched, panic tinging his voice as he began to stumble backward. The shadows screeched, dark forms whipping around him defiantly, and yet they lost their hold, retreating at the combined strength of collective truth. Eleanor! Shouted the pale woman again, her voice piercing through the noise. We're coming for you. We won't betray our souls. You are not lost. The intensity electrified the air, igniting sparks of connection, a bridge transcending the realm of shadows. Suddenly, a brilliant glow broke through the darkness, illuminating an ethereal figure. A silhouette of Eleanor stood before them, her expression serene but carrying an undeniable weight. Do not be afraid, she whispered, her voice cascading like gentle rain. Feel the strength of your truths. You are bound not by fear, but by the memories you face together. The Keeper of Nightmares seethed, his laughter transforming into enraged fury, real fear showing through. You think she has power over you? You're fools if you believe relief can come from facing your past. The crowd pressed on, their voices united. Together. Eleanor. We will save you. With a final burst of strength, they reached deep, calling upon the memories they bore, the traumas they carried. They poured their hearts into the storm, embracing hope and resolve. The shadows howled defiantly, swirling against the tide as Eleanor reached toward them, her form solidifying, radiant with regained power. Step into the light. She urged, her voice breaking free from whispers to a clarity that shattered the gloom. With a shared gasp, the crowd took that step, hand in hand, hearts beating as one, pulling Eleanor from the grasping darkness. In that moment, before their eyes, the shadows trembled, crackling like static electricity, caught in a dilemma between retreat and wrath. And then, with a blinding flash, they shattered a symphony of darkness, unraveling as light consumed each ounce of fear, thrusting it into oblivion. Thank you, Eleanor whispered as she finally emerged from the shadows, tears shimmering in her eyes. You have freed me. The once beleaguered crowd fell silent, awash in a wave of relief and awe. They clasped hands tighter, solidarity thunderous alongside the echoes of their truth. The Keeper of Nightmares writhed, a figure now diminished, his power sputtering as whispers of doubt were lost amidst the resounding triumph of unity. This isn't over. He spat, his laughter fading into the cold night air, but darkness had found its match, graceful and sturdy, born of acceptance, compassion, and resilience. With the dawn just a breath away, the crowd breathed out at last, an exhale of shared victory over fear and shadows. Together, they'd unearthed the stories bound by silence, conjured from shadows tucked deep within their hearts. Together, they realized the power of facing their truths. The fog began to lift, revealing the bright streets of London anew. Smiles broke through the solemn expressions. Together they would carry forth the burdens, but no longer would they let fear define them. Eleanor stood amidst them, embodying hope, a beacon in the gloom. Their journey didn't end here, it was only the beginning. And with the sun rising over Victorian London, warmth flooded through once more. Now was the moment for a new chapter. Please, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now and unlock even more stories waiting to be told. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories. Your participation fuels this community. Let's celebrate this victory together.